You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Well, thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Always happy to be here.
Absolutely. And we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. He doesn't have his mic on, but that's okay.
He's good.
Hi.
We have such an
Hi
exciting
again.
show.
Hello, Doc.
Hi.
We have Dr. Jim Roach. He's an integrative physician, and he's going to discuss this flu season. And actually, that's why our senior fellow isn't here today.
That's what I was going to say. It's ironic that the one guy,
That needs this information the
advice
most.
about how to not get sick is already sick.
He isn't here, right? And then we have the former chairman and the of the South Carolina Republican Party, Van Hipp. Now, he's going to give some insider information about his picks and his ideas for the 2016 presidential race.
He's also hosting a presidential forum. He's an alumni of Wofford College up in South Carolina, so he's actually hosting a forum. Ben Carson has already agreed to be there, and he's waiting to hear back from some of the others. So
I'm sure he will.
He's an insider.
Yes. Well, we have an exciting show today. It's kind of a follow-up story. But just before we get into that, what sets the Bonati Spine Institute apart from anything else on the market is the patient-reported success. We're at 98.75%, and that's pretty much unheard of in any field, let alone the medical field. What's also different is the use of conscious IV sedation, where the patient is interactive during that whole surgery, and that helps to target and pinpoint the true root cause of the problem and eradicate it for the patient. Anyway, on the line from St. Augustine, Florida, we have Caroline Perry. Last time she was on the show, she was Caroline Benjamin. It's about a year after the surgeries. How are you doing, Caroline?
I'm doing great.
Well, we should also recap
We do.
your story for those who may have missed you the first time, Caroline.
Yes.
So why don't you start from the beginning of how you started to experience pain?
Well, I had moved some boxes and some items and injured my back that got progressively worse. And when I finally got to a physician here, found out that I had a couple of bulging discs and a herniated disc. By that time, I had suffered for a little over a year, and at that point had been about 5 months using a walker because I was in so much pain. I happened to be a realtor here, so you could imagine how that impacted, my employment. But fortunately, had a friend who was a prior patient from with the Bonati Spine Institute, who out of the blue, after not talking to her for about a year, called me up just to see how I was doing. And after explaining, my health situation at the time, she reminded me that she had mentioned Bonati Spine Institute back when she had surgery. And so that's how I came to call up the Bonati Spine Institute.
Why don't you talk about how your pain was impacting your daily activities? Because you just mentioned, again, that you're a real estate agent. Obviously, some of the places you're showing have other levels, do they not?
It didn't even matter if they had other levels. I mean, even on a single family, home, one level home, I had to use a walker in my everyday, all the time life.
Wow.
Sure.
The sciatica got so bad that there were times when I would have to ask a friend to drive me and my clients to showings.
Right.
Where we would show up and I would have to get out of the car and somebody would get my walker out of the back so that I could use it to get to the house and open it up and show it.
See, I would have ended up buying a house from you, Caroline, just because I felt bad. Watching you with a walker, I mean, that's terrible.
And also,
I know. Well, you do what you got to do.
Right.
But interestingly enough, it was so bad one time I had shown a condominium and actually was a film producer out of Hollywood, and he called and said, he was ready for me to write the offer, and I was having a horrible, painful day. So I was lying across my bed with my laptop on my stomach, writing this offer for this condominium. So it extremely impacted every aspect of my life. It was just horrendous, and having to handle this without the benefit of pain pills or the benefit you can't do your job and be under the influence of
correct,
heavy drugs.
Yeah.
So it was at best horrible.
And did you seek out any treatment before before you heard about Bonati?
I had gone to a chiropractor, which I'd gone to for years. Then I went to a doctor here, and I was referred to an orthopedic locally. And when they explained the kind of surgery that they wanted to do, which I refer to as filleting my back,
right?
Pretty much.
I opted not to do that. I've had several friends who have had that type of surgery with not very much success.
Correct.
None of them who became totally pain-free afterwards.
Right.
And it was just I called divine intervention that my friend called and started talking to me again about Dr. Bonati and his fabulous institute. And so that's where I went.
Well, why don't you explain that evaluation process when you came in and then quickly summarize that surgical experience?
Well, the first thing is I called the Institute in the morning, and she asked me if I had any, MRI results, which I did, and she asked me to fax them. And by 2:00 that afternoon, I received a phone call from Dr. Grossmith, who had personally reviewed that MRI sheet, of paper,
right?
And said that he thought for certain that they could, that they could help me. And within 12 days, I was scheduled to, come to Hudson, Florida, which I did.
Right.
And on Monday of that week, I went in. I was greeted by the greeter, and I really
Paul.
wish I remember his name.
Paul.
How could you forget Paul? Come on.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. So you met Paul.
It was completely streamlined. I mean, there was, it's not like you have a cattle of patients in a waiting room and you're, waiting forever. You knew I was coming. I was greeted when I got there. I was immediately, taken to the admissions.
Sure.
The best I recall, I went from there, and I think I saw a PA. I, went in for x-rays. The whole day was perfectly scheduled.
Okay.
And, of course, I was very apprehensive. And, you said earlier in the introduction about the complete awake surgery, which
conscious
quite
IV
frankly
sedation
scared me, when I heard that.
Yes.
But I could, as you know, I can tell you that you guys said I was completely awake and interacting with you, but I have no memory whatsoever.
Well, that's okay. You know what?
I'm very thankful for.
It affects people differently. But when did you start to notice that pain relief while you were on the table?
When I was in recovery, it was immediately gone.
When
it was immediately gone.
Do you remember, actually, part of what I was saying, I minced my words there. When you were in the operating room, do you remember them asking you to try to replicate your pain?
Vaguely.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. But you said yourself, once you got into the recovery area, that's when you started to feel relief of the pain that brought you there.
It was relief when I became aware of being in the recovery room. And my friend who brought me, that stayed with me for the week, had only known me for about a year, so he had only known me being in pain.
Right.
And he teared up because he said it was the first time since he had met me that he saw the grimace gone from my face.
Wow.
And so I mean, it was just absolutely. If anybody can say that they had surgery and it was a wonderful experience, I can.
Well, and Carol
I know
Ann,
the feeling.
Yeah. Well, and Carol Ann, take us up to today, because there's a kind of a reason that we're having you back on. Give us the update since last time we spoke.
Well, I mean, it's been a year. It was my surgery was the beginning of October of last year, and I've had I've had not had to come back and see you, not had to go see any doctor. I've had no pain. No numbness in my left leg, no sciatica. nothing. I mean, I've gotten my life back, and I'm extremely thankful for that. And if I can't, I mean, I talk about it on Facebook. If people are talking about back pain, I tell them, please give Bonati a call.
There's something else,
though. I met so many people when I was there from all over the country who might have been there for neck issues with burning down their arms, that we were staying at the hotel and you're supposed to walk 45 minutes, that first day.
Right.
And that's, where I met people. And there was not one person that I talked to that was still in pain.
Let me ask you, though, because this was important from last time. You also had a radio show, and I'm not sure if you said it was in the radio show or at work as a real estate agent, but you said there was a certain gentleman that was moving you around and helping you. Why don't you elaborate on what's happened since the last time you were here?
Well, he's the one that was in the recovery with me, and as I said, he was just my friend. And in January of this year, he asked me to marry him, and we married in May.
Very nice.
That's why you're now Perry.
Yeah, because
that's why I'm now Perry.
Yep, we noticed you had a different last name since the last time, so we almost thought you were a new patient, and then we spoke with you, and we were like, we already talked with you. But that's great to.
So imagine that. A year ago, I was 62 years old. Walking with a walker, and here a year later, I am pain-free and married.
That's fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yes. Well, he fell in love with your new smile.
That's
so
what it
keep
is.
us up to date.
All
right, Carol Ann.
Keep us up to date and continued good health. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Carol Ann.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see, he must have noticed that the grimace of pain was no longer on her face, and,
a new perspective and enjoyment of life.
Put a ring on it. That's
absolutely. Yes. If you want to make it yours, put a ring on it. Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. If you or someone you know is suffering with the same sort of pain that Carol Ann had, reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute at Bonati.com. Well, coming up after the break, we have a leading integrative practitioner, consultant, and author to discuss this year's flu season and what you should expect. Stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years, and it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results, no pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone, nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
You're listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer and friend, Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here, as always.
World-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Well, we have an exciting guest on the line. Joining us is Dr. Jim Roach, a leading integrative practitioner, consultant, and author, here to discuss this year's flu season and what to expect. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Roach.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be on.
You know, I'm sad because one of our people, one of our co-hosts, Jeff Wagstaff, well, he is out sick.
Yeah.
And he couldn't make it in. We said, if there's one you need to drag yourself to, this is it, because he can tell you how to get better.
Yeah. Right, absolutely.
So we're hearing, Dr. Roach, that this is going to be a particularly bad flu season. Is that correct?
That's what I'm hearing as well. And so I think it's particularly important to learn some of the key things that you can do.
Okay.
And I like to take an integrative approach. So let me emphasize some of the things that direction to consider. First of all, nutrition is important. I encourage all of my patients to be on a plant-based, whole food, organic diet.
Okay.
And one thing that is particularly good is green tea. So individuals that tolerate caffeine can drink as many as 5 to 8 cups of green tea a day.
Right.
And that has good antiviral and anti-flu activity. Even homemade chicken soup has actual evidence to support that. And one simple thing to emphasize as well is that lysine is very important. A lot of people are familiar with lysine because of fever blisters, that it helps with fever blisters, but lysine is generally antiviral, and what suppresses lysine is an amino acid called arginine, which is in a lot of my favorite foods. It's in nuts, it's in dark chocolate, it's in potatoes, coffee, apples, in citrus. So, if you get cold or flu symptoms and you're eating those foods, it's going to make you worse. So those are foods that you want to get off of when you have the first evidence of cold or flu symptoms. What I like to do in support of the immune system is to take an elderberry. So on days when I'm around patients who are coughing or sneezing, I will take an elderberry. If they cough in my face, I'll take 2 elderberry. And if I go to church, I will take an elderberry because I shake a lot of hands when I do that. Vitamin D in school children was demonstrated to reduce type A flu 50%. So I think vitamin D, among its many, many positive qualities, 2,000 units a day for adults generally is considered a safe level and would be important protection for the flu.
Dr. Roach, I wanted to ask you about vaccines, because every year, every year we actually speak with people from the CDC that have been involved in developing the vaccine, and they always say, they'll come right out front and say it's a gamble. It's trying to predict what's going to happen next season. So, any word on whether the vaccine is actually effective this year?
Just some personal experience. So I have already been notified from one of my patients that they did develop flu 3 weeks after they received the vaccine. So clearly it's not going to prevent every case of flu this season. And with vaccines, I do think that it's wise to, whenever you can get single-dose vials as opposed to getting it from a multi-dose vial, that's preferable. There is some mercury in there. So, and some selenium and seaweed help to get rid of that mercury after you're exposed to that. There's some new research that's just out that shows that if you're on statin cholesterol medicine, that the flu vaccine is only half as effective as it normally would be. And I think that's because statins do impact testosterone levels, which impacts the immune system, the bone marrow. So
you never
I
hear
wouldn't rely
that.
solely on a flu vaccine.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
You never hear that when they're the first ones to stand there and say, go get your vaccine. They never say, but if you're on this, it may not work for you.
I take the integrative approaches.
And here's what I always question, Dr. Roach. I'm a person who, knock on wood, is relatively healthy. I haven't had the flu in, a decade probably. So I don't get the flu shot. And you would think that the people that should get the flu shot are the ones most susceptible to getting the flu, yet they're the ones that typically end up getting the flu from the shot, like the elderly and young people.
Well,
it seems like a catch-22.
Yeah, to be honest, 2 years ago, most of my patients that got flu were individuals that had taken the flu vaccine, and they got the symptoms within 2 weeks of when they got the vaccine. So, and to be honest, I haven't had a flu vaccine in 9 years because I've found that these other approaches for me work very well. In fact, at our office, we see for patients who are compliant, we see maybe 20% of what I used to see, 15, 20 years ago when I used the traditional approach.
Now,
so these approaches help. Other things that can be helpful, coconut oil has antiviral activity. The B vitamins, a lot of us have MTHFR mutations. Having support for folate and B12 helps protect against viral infection. Frankincense is a really good thing. Boswellia is the other name.
What about myrrh?
I'm not sure about the myrrh for this purposes, but it has some
all the attention.
benefits, I'm sure.
So now, can you just take a multivitamin for these things, or should you get it in your food directly?
I think if you're generally healthy, you could, but the direction that medicine's headed is to look at the activated forms of folate and B12 and B6. So if you're generally healthy, getting a P5P for the B6, methylfolate for the folate, and then methylcobalamin for the B12. Now, if you're sick, like with our chronic fatigue fibromyalgia patients, you have to be more cautious because those individuals have transsulfuration issues, which shuts down the methylation pathway. Those are big words, but in other words, detoxification is impaired. They actually can get side effects from B vitamins. So there are strategies to address that, and fixing the intestinal tract is really important early on. Looking at the possibility of using some active B6, P5P, along with some trace minerals containing manganese and molybdenum can be helpful initially in those individuals, and then they can look at trying the methylated B vitamins.
What type of strategies can people do so that they don't contract the flu? I would assume washing your hands is probably a key.
And we got about a minute left, Dr. Rose.
If you're coughing or sneezing,
hands,
not to cough on something.
For sure, and and wearing a mask. When you're around someone who's coughing, wear a mask or ask them to wear a mask. That's helpful. I think
I'll ask them to wear.
With my patients, I have them on zinc as well daily to help protect against flu. Zinc deficiency, very common. So I think those are all key strategies as well as in this process. But to be honest, elderberry is my favorite thing and my go-to for my patients and for myself.
Thank you for joining us.
There's also a good beet propolis.
He's got more.
Beehives, the inside is perfectly hygienic. So Flew Away from Natura. I know Financial Connection.
Okay.
It's an excellent product, Flew Away.
Well, we're running out of time. Dr. Jim Roach, a leading integrative practitioner, consultant, and author. Thank you for sharing some of the techniques and strategies to avoid the flu this season.
Thanks, Dr. Roach.
You're absolutely welcome.
Take care.
Right, take it easy.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. Coming up, we have former chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Army, and author to provide insider insights who might win the 2016 presidential race. Stay tuned. You're listening to American Medicine Today.
Trump.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer and friend, Ethan Euchre.
Always happy to be here.
Yes, and we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
Hello.
Joining us on the line from, where is he?
He's calling in from Norway. I don't know why he's over there, but maybe we can ask him.
Yeah. Well, joining us is
Van Hipp.
Van Hipp, former chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Army, and author, The New Terrorism, How to Fight It and Defeat It. He's here to provide us some insider insights into the 2016 presidential race. Thank you for joining us, Van.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, first question is, why are you in Norway? What are you doing over there, Van?
Well, Norway's a great NATO ally, and believe it or not, we've got a lot of technology out of Norway that's helped the United States in the war on terror from a security standpoint and a medical standpoint. So great allies. But tonight, I'm actually at my first ever what they call a Luktis festival. So it's a special fish. They have a big celebration over here in Norway and with some friends. But again, Norway's a great and a valued NATO ally of this country, and glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Great.
Well, we had you on, obviously, to talk about the 2016 presidential race.
Yes.
And your thoughts leading off. Just who do you think is in the lead right now, and what is the biggest issue that Americans should be focusing on?
For the real question, I mean, all the polls show right now it's a combination of either Carson, Trump, and then Rubio. Those seem to be the top three in all the polling data over the last week or so. But here's what I think about this election. I believe that 2016 will be the most important election this country has ever had, and the most important election of our lifetime. It's going to be about electing a commander-in-chief who can keep us safe so we can remain free. Everything else is a secondary issue. The reason the Founding Fathers came together was to provide for the common defense of the country. And that's, to me, what this country's about. We've got terrorists flooding into America. You've got the FBI director saying he's going to open files on all 50 states of America now, looking at people with potential connections to ISIS. You've got Putin with the green light doing what he's doing. You've got the Chinese with ships in the Bering Sea. Whoever we elect is going to face the most complex foreign policy and national security situation commander-in-chief a president has ever faced.
I would think you would need a great negotiator to be able to do that.
I know what you're doing. You're setting up Dr. Bonati.
Well, it's just true. Someone that can go in and negotiate, or that doesn't care about the backlash from the media, but will trudge forth with what's best for the citizens of the United States, and not take a back seat to these terrorists and call them what they are.
That's right. And I think, Van, one of the biggest weaknesses of the many weaknesses, in my opinion, of the current president, Obama, is that he was too passive.
Yes.
Wasn't aggressive enough. Do we want to ignite World War III? No, I don't think so.
We tried the Barney tactics.
I really disagree with that.
Why is that?
I think this guy has a plan to do this.
Who?
Obama.
Oh, a plan
Obama
to destroy.
is an individual, is a radical left side individual who said in the very beginning he's going to change this country. And
He did
unfortunately, we have a tremendous amount of stupidity between the country that they allowed this thing to happen. Is so poorly informed, the American population, that they, under their feet, they destroy a lot of things. To me, it's incredible that Benghazi didn't put Clinton in jail.
Yeah.
It's something that if will be a Republican, will be in jail. That I don't understand the Obamacare. It's creating an enormous disturb on healthcare on this country, and still they exist. I cannot believe the borders. The people walking on the borders, and nobody is doing anything, and everything that's at expenses of the taxpayers.
Right.
The Latinos complain all the time of lies because they're lying, betraying that Trump says something that he never said. So it's not a correct answer. It's a lot of discussions, but nobody put these things together and nobody put these things in perspective. We need not a politician. We need an individual who knows business so this country can stand in their business. We need an individual who knows how to negotiate, because that is how we are going to get business in this country and return the labor to work. We need to control the taxes. I mean, all these things, they need to be done. Sorry to interrupt you. I think you need to talk now.
What do you think, Van?
Doc's passionate.
I think we need to look at getting Dr. Bonatti to run for something.
Yes, here. I agree with that.
So they're going to kill me in 10 days.
No, but Van, what are your thoughts on everything Dr. Bonatti just said?
Point blank, I think the reason you see people like Trump and Carson and the outsiders resonating is this. People right now are fed up, and they don't want someone to just preside over the death of America or slow down the death of America. They want someone to save this country, because this is the last hour. This is the last chance, I think 2016, the last chance to really save this country, get on the right path again. And Dr. Bonatti made a good point. I was at a book signing the other day of my book, The New Terrorism, How to Fight It and Defeat It. And a retired Army colonel came up to me, and he said, it's a miracle this country has survived the last 6.5 years of this. And he said what they're trying to do is re-engineer America.
Yes.
And Dr. Bonatti's right. They're trying to re-engineer this country. It is a miracle we've survived the last 6.5 years. But I think that the reason we have is a testament to the resiliency of the American people. But I believe this is our last chance.
Well, I think America survived because the ingenuity of the individuals in this country. They talk about how much good they did with the gas in the gas stations. The real truth is the gas stations are with this lower amount of prices on gas because the ingenuity in the obtaining of the gas through the private sector, because the government never released any land to be able to exploit. See, these situations are they're so incredible to understand. I never understand how the people they are involved in living in this country and enjoying this country. They can go against the business of this country. To me, that is so unpatriotic.
Yep, and it's a path towards socialism. I'm reminded of something Winston Churchill said: there are only two places where socialism will ever work: in heaven, where it is not needed, and in hell, where it is already in practice. But
that is great.
I got to tell you, though, I believe what's happening now, and we're seeing this as far as the security of America is concerned. We're sending all the wrong messages to friends and foe alike. When we throw allies like Israel under a bus, when we cut the U.S. Army to pre-World War II levels, we have the smallest army. You got to go back to before World War II to find an army this small. We've got more admirals than we got ships. What kind of message does that send to our friends? What kind of message does that send to a thug like Vladimir Putin? Putin sees right now the United States is weak. We have no foreign policy. We have no strategy. That's why he is doing what he is doing. All he understands is strength, and we're not showing that. And America needs a commander-in-chief who will be strong and keep this country safe so that we can remain free.
Well,
this individual is not the commander-in-chief of the United States. This individual is a commander-in-chief of the Muslim country. This is creating the power and delivering the power to the Muslims country, and the situation is in so big chaos that is going to go, and the only way that's going to be resolved is really involve the United States in a war.
And when you add on top of that, not just all the things that we're seeing right now, don't forget, too, what the Chinese and the Islamists are doing from a cyber warfare standpoint. They're killing us economically and from a national security standpoint. When I do in the book, I distinguish between what the Islamists do, which is about sabotage economically and national security-wise. They're trying to take down our systems. The Chinese, it's about espionage. They're trying to steal our intellectual property. And we need different countermeasures for both, and we detail that in the book. And I mean, we got to think outside the box.
We don't have any now. We don't have any
9/11
protection for emails. I mean, Hillary Clinton having the server, and that gets broken into. And then all Obama and this administration wants to do as well, if we loved them more, if they had access to jobs, they take the whole Barney, I love you, you love me mentality, and they won't address the fact that this is Muslim extremist and terrorist.
I wanted to ask you this, Van. I know, especially being an Army guy and with the new book, The New Terrorism, who do you think, kind of bringing it back to the election, which candidate out there now do you think would have the strongest foreign policy as commander-in-chief?
If I could blend about 4 or 5 of them and put them together, we'd have a great commander-in-chief. And so one of the things that we're doing right now, and we just announced, we're going to have a commander-in-chief series at Wofford College where we have the different candidates come, and this all going to be on foreign policy and national security, so that we're going to get a better idea of that. But but back to something y'all alluded to, education is a national security issue. Our kids no longer have a real sense of history, what it means to be an American, what the people went through to build this country, and also you get back to cybersecurity. We need between 20 and 30,000 true cybersecurity experts to thwart the worst kind of attack on America. We've only got about 1,000. That's why I call for the establishment of national security scholarships on our colleges and universities for our best computer science, data security majors. We need a massive recruitment campaign here at home in America for cybersecurity.
And we also need to stop hiring people like Bill Ayers to be teaching at our universities and giving a very skewed view of what the United States stands for.
They need to be when you have a university, they need to be a type of a program where you have a left side information and right side information, and the speakers, they need to be divided in the same type of a group, so they accept both ideas, and the young kids can really deliver deliberate those ideas, and then have their own minds to make decisions.
Well, we're running out of time.
Where can people get your book, Van?
The website, thenewterrorism.com or Amazon. And the good news is 100% of all the proceeds, 100% are going for scholarships for children of fallen National Guardsmen. And the National Guard Education Foundation is administering the scholarships and not taking a dime in fees or costs. So it really is all going to these kids.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you so much. Van Hipp, former chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of the United States Army, and author. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, Van.
Thanks for having me.
And take care.
Thank you, Van.
Good stuff.
Yes, never a boring moment.
Nope.
Well, you are listening to American Medicine Today. Coming up after the break, you'll hear more. Make sure you stay tuned.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time
that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it. Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Well, you know, it's Veterans Day is going to be on Wednesday, and joining us is U.S. Republican Congressman David Jolly of Florida.
Yeah.
And he's a returning guest and friend of the show who's been doing a lot of things to help veterans throughout his time in Washington. So thank you for joining us, David Jolly.
Well, Kimberly, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, Congressman, I want to start out by saying you received a phone call from a local Vietnam veteran here in the Bay Area earlier this week for a very interesting reason, unbelievable almost. Tell us about it.
Well, that's right. The veteran, the Vietnam veteran, former Navy, did receive a letter, actually, from the VA apologizing or expressing condolences upon his passing and explaining that his benefits were terminated. And so the veteran called the regional office, actually up in Philadelphia, I believe, and the woman told him, "I'm sorry, you are deceased." And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm alive.
I'm clearly alive." Yeah.
He's clearly alive. Unfortunately, though, you know, it makes for a funny headline. It's a very serious issue for a veteran living month to month on benefits that they have earned, that then when those benefits are disrupted, in the words of this veteran this week, it was devastating financially.
Well, how can something like that happen? And then how quickly can the benefits get reinstated? Because as you said, if he's living paycheck to paycheck, how hard is it to prove that he's alive?
Well, that's exactly right. So, unfortunately, this is now the fifth or sixth in the Bay Area in the last year to year and a half. I am asking the VA for a census of exactly how many times has this occurred nationally, and then how long does it take to get benefits turned on.
Right.
Look, unfortunately, because of the volume that the Veterans Benefits Administration has to deal with, it can take several months to have the veterans' benefits reinstated. I am glad that this gentleman came to our office. We were able to get it done in about 24 hours. We have had similar success with others that have come our way. But, again, just since I've been in office, now 5 in my congressional office, I know Mr. Bilirakis has had at least 1 or 2 as well. And it's a serious issue financially. So we do need the VA to improve their protocols to make sure this does not happen again.
How though, did they declare him dead?
So I have spoken now twice with the VA secretary over the course of this year. It does appear that most often it is human error. Someone either interposes a Social Security number, or in the case of our local vet this week, he shared the same name as somebody in Texas.
All right.
So what I've asked the VA is, let's identify how many, and then let's see, was it human error? Was it IT? Was it technology? Where did the error occur? The secretary has told me in the past that part of the problem may lie within the Social Security Administration and the transference of information then to the VA. Now, I will give the secretary credit. Just as he pointed out that the Social Security Administration may share some culpability, he has accepted responsibility on the VA side, and I do believe he wants this to be solved. We just need to impress upon him the urgency of doing it very quickly.
David, I resent all this. I resent the fact that the vets are being treated all the time with disrespect and without really solution of their problems. I understand that politically maybe it's a problem to remove the VA hospitals to give service to the vets and allow the vets to go to normal America to be served in hospitals, in clinics, and in doctors all over the country. To me, is really a disservice to the vets the fact that we continue talking politics and start to beef up a little bit an executive of the VA or somebody on the VA and continue with the same direction of no service, no solution, and the mistakes are only being excused. I think this is shameful.
I agree fully with you, and let me make a couple points. We do have, here in the Bay Area at Haley and Bay Pines and other facilities, we have a lot of people who have committed their careers and lives to taking care of veterans. And so we can't ignore the fact that we have some great people working at the VA. But we have a bureaucracy led from Washington, D.C. that has failed both our veterans and those employees who wish to do well for them at the local hospitals. Here's my proposal on how we fix the Veterans Health Administration issues. You know, in Washington, the answer always seems to be, well, tweak this, tweak that, but it's a very statist view. It's as though we have to focus in only on this behemoth of the VA. My approach is very different. It says, let's focus on the veteran. Let's empower every veteran with a very simple freedom card to allow them to choose where they receive their health care once and for all. And what that means is if they want to stay in the VA, where many veterans do, listen, many of the veterans I talk to, they like the VA, they want to stay in the VA, then they should be able to stay in the VA. But if a veteran wants to go outside of the VA, they should have the full power and authority to do that, no permission needed from the VA. We can pay that physician a Medicare reimbursable rate or a VA reimbursable rate and allow that veteran to have complete control over their health care decisions.
That sounds good, but the reality is something like that was already passed as a law, and then when the vets try to go to a physician, they deny the service. The VA deny the rights of that veteran to go to anything, or they put him in a waiting line enough that the guy needs to go back on the system and remain on the system. These type of ideas, they look very nice on paper, but the real truth is ineffective. The best way to be effective on these things is to say no service at the VA will be allowed. The veterans that they go, the veterans that they go to the VA and they like the VA are in a drug addiction. These individuals, they are taking large amount of pain medications, large amount of narcotics, and then, yes, they love the VA because the irresponsibility of the physicians in the VA is to continue giving pain medications and narcotics and antidepressives and muscle relaxants to the people to maintain them coming back to the VA. When you have a real problem, the problems are not being solved.
You have a hard fight
situation
in front of you, Congressman Jolly. And what I can say is we are extremely supportive, and thank God for you, because now the veterans have a voice and someone that's trying to be proactive for them to get things back in order so they can get the health care that they need.
He's fighting the good fight.
Yes.
We appreciate it,
Listen,
Congressman.
if I could just share two very quick points, because you
Sure.
were right that what was passed last year did not go far enough. The veterans still had to seek permission from the VA to go outside. My legislation that I've introduced, the Freedom Card, there is no permission necessary.
That's
Veteran
great.
Chooses, they just walk and they get to go. I will tell you on the medication issue, to close with this, Doctor, I am working currently on an informed consent requirement so that veterans who go into the VA are told what they are being prescribed, what the other options are, and what the impact might be, because it is true, if you take a census of VA patients, there's an abnormal amount, percentage-wise, that are on prescription drugs that might not be out if they got their care outside of the VA. You're fully right on that.
All right.
Thanks, God.
Thank you.
Thanks, God, David, that as Kimberly said, that you are a right hand to help these people, because the real truth, this is pure garbage going around, and these people are dying. And when they try to even have mistakes saying the ID problem is because some computer make the person deceased, this is not happening in insurance companies in this country. So why happen at the VA?
Well, that's right.
A lot of questions. We'd love to have you back on as you continue to do good work for the veterans of the United States. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Always
it.
good to be with you.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. That wraps up this week's show. Make sure you tune in to Bloomberg both Saturdays and Sundays and here in Tampa on WFTS. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it. Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.